So a drug based around ketamine is very, very different to a drug based around cocaine. And what type of effect are you looking for? And also following on from that, how are you going to consume it? So there's a huge difference between taking a drug orally and injecting it. Risks around it in terms of infection from injecting it. It's how vulnerable position you come into. So if you're injecting a drug, you take a more potent variation on it, it may be more likely that you're going to be unconscious for a period of time, or that you're going to be less able to control yourself, and who's going to be around you when you take that. So I think you've got to think about your own safety when you take it, in terms of the direct effects of the drug, the peripheral effects in terms of sexual health or infections, and then your vulnerability to other people around. So do try and find out, think about the parent class, so from stimulants to cannabinoids to dissociative and so forth, and make your decisions based on that. From the same point of view, we're seeing some people now, the SCRAs, who were smoking cannabis, and the SCRA is making them unwell. So not everybody, but for them it's not working. And I think, again, long term this may be the case. But we don't know. And I think we can't wait 10 years to decide is it a problem or not. I think we've enough knowledge now to think it's reasonable to suppose some people are going to be harmed. And what can we do about it? So we can't send a message of immediate doom and gloom, because that's not true. But we have to send a message that it could be harmful long term. And we're obligated to say we don't know what it's going to do to you. And I think people need to think about it. So I'm not the police. I'm not here to tell people what they must do with their lives. But whilst there's a huge amount we don't know about legal highs, we know enough to say, well, look, some people are getting harmed by it. You do need to think about it. They're not a Diet Coke version of drugs. There have fairly recently been reports of novel fentanyls, which is a class in a family that seem really potent. And one of the anxieties with the legal high variations of it is that people might think, I take X amount of heroin, therefore give me X amount of this new fentanyl. And potentially you could die with an overdose of it. If you take a legal high benzodiazepine and you think it's not having much of an effect, maybe it's not very strong, or maybe this one doesn't work, I'll take another one. And all the time these things are building up in your system, and they may not leave for several days. So there seems to be a risk of unintentional overdose with legal high benzodiazepines, because they're staying there for several days, and people they may keep taking more because they're used to taking, for example, lorazepam 3 or 4 times a day, and they think they'll do the same with the new ones. But again, that's probably not all of them. There aren't a lot of them right now, and we're not sure if that class will continue to grow, or maybe like the opioids, the marketplace is full and we don't need many more of them. You can have problems with your heart and with your bodily organs, and it may be an emergency, so you should seek help if you've got any concerns. In terms of dying from it, the drug classes that are most of worry are the depressants. So they're called depressants because they depress down bodily function, in particular our ability to breathe. So opioids like heroin and benzodiazepines like lorazepam, they can affect respiratory rates, and there's a danger of death from overdose. So intentional, people trying to end their lives, or unintentional,